You think you're flying completely under the radar, you're working remotely, logging in exactly at 9 a.m., doing the absolute bare minimum required not to get fired, and logging off precisely at 5 p.m. You proudly call this quiet quitting. You believe you have successfully hacked the corporate system, protecting your mental peace while extracting a full-time salary. You're operating under a catastrophic terminal illusion. In Dubai and across the Tier 1 global labor markets, you have already been flagged. Recruiters and corporate HR departments are now deploying highly aggressive predictive AI behavioral analytics to hunt down and isolate passive remote worker. If your digital footprint does not demonstrate high velocity, high leverage output, you aren't just slowly losing your current job, you are being mathematically permanently exiled from the entire industry. Before I completely deconstruct the death of professional invisibility, expose the exact mechanics of the AI surveillance ecosystem tracking your every move, and give you the precise architectural blueprint to escape the blacklist and broadcast undeniable corporate value, hit the subscribe button and press the notification bell. I post daily videos showing you exactly how to navigate the global labor and capital market using cold, hard engineering logic. You do not want to miss these execution protocols. The era of professional invisibility is officially dead. Dubai's elite recruitment hubs are deployed a ruthless surveillance ecosystem that maps your every digital move against a real-time productivity metric. We are exposing the quitting trap, where AI-driven purging tools turns your remote sanctuary into a career-ending liability in absolute seconds. Stop quitting before you become permanently unemployable. Right now, hyper-competitive firms are actively building a massive shared blacklist of remote employees who have intentionally slowed their operational pace. We are diving into the new technology-driven, where a lack of visible, structural engagement is a one-way ticket to a professional dead end. Grab a notebook, it is time to learn exactly what machine is tracking. Watch this before you are purged. Welcome back, I'm Dr. HR. To understand why my approach to the human capital, remote work, and corporate surveillance is aggressively different from comforting anti-work rhetoric peddled by social media influencer, you must understand my underlying logic. I hold a PhD in Human Resources, a Master's from prestigious Tata Institute of Social Sciences TISS in Mumbai, and a Bachelor's in Computer Engineering. I do not look at employee engagement as a metric of corporate loyalty. I look at it as a raw algorithmic computation on return of investment (ROI). Operating on the ground here in Dubai since 2010, consulting for Tier 1 corporate entities and leading recruitment hub, I monitor exactly how the apex executive layer evaluate the workforce. The technology has evolved. The grace period of the early remote work era is over. Let us systematically deconstruct this silent purge through 5 distinct phases: the illusion of century, the Behavioral Analytics Panopticon, the Predictive Blacklist, the Velocity Equation, and the Sovereign Operator Protocol. Phase 1, the illusion of century, the Fear-Based Provocation. We must first diagnose the exact psychological trap that has paralyzed a massive percentage of the modern global workforce. During the rapid transition to remote work, a highly toxic, passive ideology infected the labor market, quitting. Employees realized that the physical proximity to the management was gone. They realized they could simply execute the absolute baseline requirement of their job description, refuse to volunteer for complex projects, and silently fade into the background. They viewed their home office as an impenetrable sanctuary, completely decoupled from the intense competitive gaze of the corporate boardroom. This is the illusion of a century. You believe that because you are not actively making mistakes, you are safe. You assume that your manager is too busy to notice that your output has mathematically flattened. You view your lack of engagement as a brilliant boundary-setting exercise. You're entirely misunderstanding the physics of the 2026 corporate machine. In a hyper-competitive, high burn rate economy, a corporation does not pay a premium salary for a baseline compliance. They pay for momentum. They pay for the proactive identification and eradication of operational friction. When you quit, You become an inert node in the system. You consume capital. You generate zero forward velocity. More dangerously, you're assuming the system evaluating you is human. The human manager might overlook your passivity because they are exhausted, distracted, or conflict avoidant. A human manager might forget that you haven't spoken in a cross-functional meeting in 3 months. But you're no longer being evaluated by humans, you're being evaluated by an algorithm that never sleeps, never forgets, and is programmed to ruthlessly identify any biological node that is draining the company's capital without generating high leverage ROI. Phase 2, the Behavioral Analytics Panopticon, the tech-centric review. To understand why your quiet quitting is a career death sentence, you must understand the exact technological architecture of the 2026 HR ecosystem. You have moved infinitely past the era of the basic keystroke logger or software that checks if your mouse is moving. That was an amateur technology. Today, the elite organizations in Dubai are deploying the Behavioral Analytics Panopticon. Enterprise systems like Oracle SCM and advanced internal networks are fully integrated with AI-driven behavioral scoring. The machine is not tracking if you are at your desk, it is tracking the exact mathematical quality of your cognitive engagement. Let us look at the raw data parameters the AI is currently mapping. 1. Cross-functional collaboration density. The AI analyzes the metadata of your Slack, Microsoft Teams, and email communication. It does not read your private message, it maps your nodes. Are you initiating communication across departments to solve complex problems? Or are you only responding to direct requests? If you are a passive node who only speaks when spoken to, your initiation score drops to 0. 2. Cognitive sentiment and response latency. When a high priority crisis occurs, the algorithm measures your response latency. How long does it take to engage with the data? Furthermore, it uses sentiment analysis to measure the tone of your professional output. Are your project updates proactive, structured, and solution-oriented? Or are they consistently defensive, brief, and differential? 3. Value stream contribution. The system tracks your digital fingerprint across the company's core software architecture. Have you authored any new protocol? Have you optimized any legacy processes? Or are you simply clicking the same approval button every single day? When you quiet quit, you trigger every single algorithm alarm bell in the system. The AI compiles this data and assigns you an insider risk score or a flight risk predictor. The algorithm categorizes you as a disengaged liability who is actively dragging down the operational velocity of the firm. You thought you were invisible. The reality is your silence is the loudest, most mathematical detectable signal in the entire database. Phase 3, the predictive blacklist, the Dubai reality. If the consequences of this panopticon were contained strictly within your current company, it would be dangerous, but survivable. You could simply be fired and find a new job, but the 2026 labor market does not operate in isolation. We have entered the era of the predictive blacklist. Dubai is a hyper-connected, elite labor market. The top recruitment agencies in the Tier 1 HR department do not operate in silos. They utilize shared, centralized AI-driven talent prediction network. When you apply for a new role at a massive developer or a global logistic firm, the recruitment AI does not read the bullet point on your PDF resume. It ingests your digital footprint. When your current company uses enterprise software to flag you as a low-velocity passive worker, that metadata creates a permanent stain on your professional trajectory. The recruitment AI at the next firm runs a predictive model. It calculates the probability of your future success based on your recent behavioral trend. The algorithm looks at your last 18 months of quiet quitting and predicts with 94% mathematical certainty that if hired, you will drain their resources, avoid complex problem solving, and generate absolute baseline output. You are instantly purged from the candidate pool before a human recruiter even sees your name. You will send out 500 resumes and receive absolute silence in return. You will wonder if your formatting is wrong or if you are asking for too much money. You will be completely oblivious of the fact that you have been algorithmic blacklisted by the entire industry. When you choose to do the bare minimum, you're not punishing your current employer, you're permanently encrypting your own future's unemployability. Phase 4, the velocity equation, escaping the trap. If you realize you're currently caught in the quiet quitting trap, you must execute an immediate violent pivot. You must reverse the algorithm decay of your profile by mastering the velocity equation. The amateur hears this warning and assumes the solution is to work 90 hours a week, respond to email at 3 a.m. and completely destroy their physical health to prove their loyalty. This is another catastrophic error. The AI does not reward raw, inefficient labor. The AI rewards structural velocity and operational leverage. You must transition from a passive consumer of tasks to an elite architect of system. Imagine you're an HR professional operating remotely. For the last 6 months, you have quietly quit by simply processing payroll and sending out standard onboarding emails. The AI has flagged you. To break the flag, you must inject a massive visible value into the corporate network. You do not ask for permission. You unilaterally deploy Lean Six Sigma methodologies to the onboarding pipeline. You utilize a value stream mapping to identify exactly where the new hire are experiencing friction. You log into the Oracle Transactional Business Intelligence (OTBI) and extract the raw latency data. You restructure the entire workflow, eliminating 3 days of administrative delay. You then publish a highly structured, data-driven report to the executive team, outlining exactly how your unilateral intervention just saved the corporation AED 300,000 in lost productivity for the quarter. You just generated a massive, undeniable spike in your behavioral analytics. The AI registers high cross-functional collaboration. It registers extreme proactive problem solving. It registers high leverage cognitive output. You have instantly rewritten your algorithm. You have moved from disengaged liability category directly into the apex operator category. You do not need to work longer hours. You need to execute a high-stakes, mathematically verifiable interventions that the machine cannot ignore. Phase 5, the Sovereign Operator Protocol, broadcasting dominance. We have diagnosed the illusion of a remote century. We have exposed the behavioral panopticon. We have defined the predictive blacklist. And we have established the velocity equation. The final phase is permanently insulating yourself from algorithmic purging. You must execute the Sovereign Operator Protocol. You cannot rely on the internal corporate system alone to validate your existence. If you want to completely immune to the quiet quitting blacklist, you must build an external, undeniable proof of work ecosystem. You must have the high velocity solution you engineer inside the companies and abstract them into the public authoritative intellectual property. You must transition into a broadcasting node. Do not hide in your remote home office. Weaponize your environment. Set up a dedicated high-fidelity digital broadcasting studio. Utilize the elite Cineline gear, a Sony FX series camera with an impeccable lighting and acoustic treatment. Import your strategic breakdown into the DaVinci Resolve 20, utilizing its advanced node-based architecture to color grade and produce professional cinematic video essays. You look directly into the lens and you break down the exact physics of the corporate bottlenecks you have eradicated. You explained how you use the Lean Six Sigma to bypass the legacy infrastructure. You articulate complex data structures with absolute unshakable executive authority. You distribute this high-fidelity media across LinkedIn and global professional networks. When a Tier 1 recruiter in Dubai or a global CEO encounters your profile, the AI does not even factor into the equation. The human executive watches your breakdown, sees your undeniable technical mastery, and experiences the visceral impact of your sovereign authority. They do not see a quiet quitting hiding behind a laptop. They see an apex architect capable of dominating complex organizational chaos. When you build a public, high-fidelity fortress of competence, you render the recruitment algorithm completely irrelevant. You bypass the automated filters because the executive will actively hunt you down and demand your presence in the boardroom. Look closely at your daily routine. Are you hiding? Are you doing just enough to survive? The grace period is over. The machine is tracking your silence, and it is weaponizing your passivity against your future. Stop quiet quitting. Break the algorithm. Execute the velocity equation. Build your high-fidelity proof of work, and transition from an invisible liability into a sovereign, unpurgeable operator. Process the data, execute the strategy, and I'll see you at the top.